the link.
Hi all, thanks for coming. Sunita, you let us know when you're ready. Of course, this is Sunita Leek, and she will be presenting today, Becoming a Wedding Officiant. We're super excited to have you all. If you have any questions, certainly feel free to raise your hand or put it in the chat and we will get to you as soon as possible. But thank you so much, Sunita, for coming tonight and sharing with us.
You are so very welcome, Marcy. So first of all, I want to let you guys know, first of all, thank you so much for coming in, attending. It's been a very busy day as a wedding officiant. I just finished an elopement at Southwind Ranch of Travelers Rest, South Carolina, and I'm ready. So welcome to Becoming Wedding Officiant. I'm going to walk you through what it takes to become proficient in our wedding officiant industry. Now, uh, these are the topics that we'll talk about today. And first, I do have a disclaimer. So as you view the material on the following slides, make sure that you take your own notes. Now, once you complete this session, it's not the full course, but once you complete this session, you will not be able to go back and reference the material. But I believe that Marcy and the crew, they are recording it. So you should be able to for what we speak of today. So this is course material. Pay it no mind. You'll be able to go back and view the material. Just make sure that you do not share it because this is my proprietary information. Now, any views expressed herein are my views. They're not the views of any other person or persons. Furthermore, none of the content should be taken as either legal or medical advice. So if you have any questions on what's presented, I'm available, Marcy's available. You can contact me. My email address is Greenville Notary, that's GreenvilleNotary @gmail.com. So let's start this journey, shall we? So these are the topics that we'll present today. They are the beginning stages, the act of officiating, promotion and advertising, and also working with other wedding vendors. The end result, which is absolutely wonderful and beautiful if you perform it well, the follow-up and a recap, and any questions and answers or questions from you, they're very welcome today. So let's talk about the beginning stages. What is a wedding officiant? So a wedding officiant, by the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition, it's someone such as a priest who officiates at a religious rite. Depending on your state, certain members of a professional capacity can also marry couples. In some, it takes getting an additional license to do so. Now, in my state of South Carolina, I can marry couples as a notary public alone, and I do. Now, there are those that I've consulted that already had training as speakers, and there are others that I've consulted that never addressed a crowd. Now, as far as research is concerned, you can have all the business sense in the world, but if you don't have faith in yourself, your officiant business will not survive. Now, as a new or seasoned wedding officiant, you will find that research never ends. There's always something new to learn as our role of wedding officiant is dynamic and ever-changing. Now, all the way from fashion trends to ceremony trends, even wedding season, it was traditionally one specific month out of the year. It now moves around from year to year. Now, remember that you're conducting research on not only what a wedding officiant does, but also what a business owner does and how to form your business if this is your first time. You'll definitely need patience, as growing your business may sometimes seem fruitless. If you take care of the initial stages of your wedding officiant business the right way, stay consistent and persistent, it will grow. What's your plan? Now, many of those I come across want to throw their hand in. They already have 9-to-5 positions or they own their own separate businesses. One mistake you don't want to make is to think that your wedding officiant business will be like any of the other businesses that you have, or even like anyone else's wedding officiant business. Now, when I began, I rolled my notary business and my wedding officiant business into one. As like I said, as a notary public in the state of South Carolina, it afforded me the opportunity to marry couples along with the duties that I already upheld. Now, no matter how well you speak, no matter how well you present yourself, you will not be prepared for this unless you have a business plan and you practice efficiently and effectively before you begin. So make sure that you do those things. Now, I know how to stand in front of people. I'm certain you do as well. Now, for most traditional wedding ceremonies, there are bridesmaids on one side, there are groomsmen on the other side. There's normally a best man and maid or matron of honor, right? You need to formulate a concrete plan on how you're going to correspond with your audience, not just the couples that you're marrying, but their families and other wedding vendors as well. You need to decide what you want to target your business to. Let's carry on. Now, being proficient in wedding officiant services, it involves learning the different types of ceremonies that can be performed. Most of us are familiar with the traditional Christian ceremony. There's the introduction, a benediction, the breath of the ceremony where the vows are spoken. We have prayer, there's an exchange of rings. Then a unity ceremony, if there is one included. So a unity ceremony, and I'll tell you what that is now, it involves either unity of the sands, unity candle, it could be tying of the knot, hand fasting. There are different types of unity ceremonies that can be performed within the ceremony. Now, finding out the rules on marrying couples in your state is important when it comes to legally marrying a couple. When you get over the hurdle of finding out what the rules and the laws of the US and your state require, you must consider your regional or local laws and rules. For instance, in the county where I reside, it's Greenville County, South Carolina. Now, couples that uh, plan on entering into marriage must wait 24 hours after they submit their final application paperwork, and that's before they can retrieve their full marriage license. Now, why is there a 24-hour wait? Well, most couples think it's because the office is researching whether they're married or not, but that's not what they do. They just require a 24-hour wait for the state of South Carolina. So learning the rules will help prevent uh, things from falling apart. There are some couples that want to get married that day. That's one of the pertinent questions that you want to ask if you're in a state that requires that you sign the paperwork beforehand or during the ceremony. You are asking them if they have that marriage license paperwork in hand. So learn your local rules so that you don't do anything illegal or you drop the ball. You don't want to drop the ball. So now we're going to talk about wedding terms and formats. Now, wedding glossaries are an excellent source to learn terms associated with weddings and different aspects of preparedness. Watching videos of ceremonies and shadowing other officiants can be beneficial to your business. Now, I have had people shadow me in business, and it has helped people greatly. There are some people that have never officiated a ceremony. There are some people who have officiated before, but they want to learn more about the process and they want to see more. And that's great because there are different types of ceremonies. My last shadow, I had a young lady by the name of Shalonda, and God forbid, I hope I don't have her name wrong. And she came out to a lake wedding. So it was in their backyard. It was along a location called Broadway Lake. And she got to experience boats coming up to the dock of the location of the people. So I am in a wooded area and I just got bit by something. So I've got my bug spray. I'm out here in the woods. So give me a moment. I just got bit on my arm. And I'm not going to turn that camera off to do this because this is one of the things that is in preparedness is that if you're going out to a wooded area, you're going out to, you're going to be in the grass and the wedding is around 5, 6, 7 o'clock. You're going to go into dusk and that's when the mosquitoes really come out. So you need to make sure that you're prepared. So when the young lady shadowed me, she saw different aspects of food preparation. She saw the bride getting ready. She saw the DJ getting set up. So it was very beneficial in that regard because, like I said, there are other wedding vendors that are involved. Now, when you do your research, make sure that you're getting a full spectrum of the different formats. I usually tell people to look at traditional formats first because you start from there. Usually 6 to 8 bridesmaids, you have 6 to 8 groomsmen, but there are sometimes formats that are asymmetric. So you might have 5 bridesmaids here, and you might have 4 groomsmen, or it might be patterned differently. So that will change usually the style of when they walk in or what is considered the procession. So those are things that you do want to take note of. So let's talk about the act of officiating, actually going through the process of officiating a ceremony. We're going to talk about some important details. So consultations. We're going to talk a little bit about consultations. Consultations are important. Now, you can perform a consultation for a couple that's getting married like within the next few minutes or an impromptu ceremony. That's great. But usually for the impromptu ceremonies, you won't consult with them first. It's just kind of jumping into it. But if you have a semi-formal, you have a home ceremony with a wedding party, or you have a formal ceremony, you will want to have a consultation or an initial consultation with the couple. Now, there are several ways that you can conduct a wedding consultation with your couple. And I'll tell you that sometimes those consultations may include other family members, mom, dad, brothers, sisters, or friends that will help the couple kind of make some decisions. So keep that in mind that you're not necessarily always dealing with the couple themselves or one of the parties of the couple. You might be dealing with mom or dad. Now, if your ceremony runs anywhere from that semi-formal or formal ceremony, remember there can be very intricate but important details that you'll want to conduct an initial consultation with the couple. So let's talk about the things you're finding out within the initial consultation. You are finding out your meat and potatoes, your who, what, when, and we already know why somewhat, because somebody's in love with the other person and they're getting married, right? So let me stop this alarm. I have alarm going. Um, so things that you're going to find out are, of course, venue, the time of the ceremony, the date, time, venue, location. You're finding out if there's a rehearsal. Now, if there's a semi-formal or formal ceremony, I always recommend the couple, and sometimes they don't know how to do it. I will say it might be best to have a rehearsal because at times you're dealing with not just the couple, the wedding party, you're dealing with the other vendors. So you need to know logistics wise how to set things up. So let's talk about the different types of consultations that you can have with your couple. There are 3 main types: the in-person consultation, telephone, and virtual. Now, there are in-person meetings. This is the most desirable mode of meeting. Now, you're able to get a full understanding of the personalities that you'll be working with before, during, and post-ceremony. Now, your couple will also reap the benefits of meeting you face to face because it's it's just not the same like over the phone. But if you do have to do it over the phone, here's what you need to take note of. So a phone meeting, since it is not up close and personal, you must be concise. Although you should avoid ums and ahs in your in-person consultation, it's even more important to avoid them over the phone. When you and ah your potential couple to death, it may signify that you're unsure of your footing. Make sure that you're getting as much information about not just the couple's ceremony, but about the couple themselves, because it's less personal than or less personable than an in-person meeting. You're building that rapport with them. Now, that's your phone meetings. So let's now talk about your virtual meetings. So a virtual consultation is yet another option if you are not able to meet with your couple in person. A virtual consultation will still allow you to see your potential couple, which allows you to not only build auditory rapport, but it also gives the visual. Now, another plus to the virtual meeting is that you have the ability to record it. This recording would be available for either you or the couple to repeat, go over, and analyze. Recordings of this type are also good for final preparations for the ceremony. The ceremony may be a year or more away, depending on when the couple initially contacted you. Now, of course, I just talked about the things that you're finding out in the initial consultation. Let's go over some of those. So you're gathering, like I said, your who, what, when, where, and we already know why somewhat. You're getting information on the way the wedding party will be set up. So you're, like I told you, it could be 6 to 8, but it could be 4 and 8 or 5 and 6. So you're asking about the wedding party. You're asking theme colors. You're thinking, you're getting information on how people will walk in and format. They might not know this information now, but it's always good to ask so that you're being proactive. Okay, so you're finding out who the other wedding vendors are, if possible. You might have a ceremony that doesn't have any additional vendors, no caterer, no DJ, no photographer. I've run into all types of ceremonies. Usually if they don't have photography, I always offer my photography. I started a photography venture to photograph people, but I found that I enjoy photographing not people more. So I don't necessarily photograph for my ceremonies, but you're finding out about the vendors for the ceremony because of logistics. Will you be mic'd up? Will you not be mic'd up? And things like that. So finding out if you're having any or will have any MC responsibilities, and that's master of ceremonies. You're finding out if a unity ceremony will be included. You're also getting any information on any special ceremonies within or special tasks that the couple would like for you to perform. Now, I will tell you that there are couples that have lost loved ones, mothers, fathers, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and sometimes they're recent passing, and they will want to honor them during the ceremony. You're asking them if they have anything, any honorary or any special dedications to someone out in the crowd. They have sometimes their own vows to read during the ceremony. So that's something that you will incorporate within what you're saying as well. So as an overview, you're getting important details, information on the format, information on the members of the wedding party, vendors for the ceremony, will a unity ceremony be performed, and any special tasks for the officiant. All right, let's get that back over here. Now, rehearsals. I mentioned attending rehearsals because when you attend the rehearsal, you're practicing. It's not as high pressure. It's often run through more than once. If the wedding ceremony is either a semi-formal or formal ceremony, you will want to be present at the rehearsal. It's imperative. Now, especially if there are other wedding vendors present and they're involved, you'll need to know if you will have a microphone. And if you have a microphone, will it be handheld? Will it be a lavalier, which is attached to your clothing or placed in your pocket? Now, by attending, you'll also need to know if you're conducting any MC or Master of Ceremonies duties. Now, this involves making announcements or giving wedding party, family and guest directions or instructions. You may have to tell people to stand up, sit down, move over to cocktail hour. This is one of the reasons why it's important to be at rehearsal. Now, This is random. So I have, and this is a picture of a few of the elopement ceremonies that I've conducted or done in the park at Falls Park on the Reedy in Greenville, South Carolina. It's very aesthetically pleasing to the eye. It's not too far from my business location where I marry many of the couples that call me to marry them. Um, I will tell you the impromptu ceremonies, and I tell the people for the formal ceremonies, these are some of my favorite because the couples, they're like, hey, they call me and they're real excited. We got our marriage license today. We're ready to get married. Let's go. Um, there are some officiants that will require the couple to have counseling first. I'm not one of those, but to each his own. Some of you might want to um, consider counseling your couples first. Um, Now, since I don't counsel, I do refer counselors that I know. So if they still want me to marry them, I will refer them to another counselor if they do want counseling. And here's another picture. This is Daniel and Zatajia. I cannot pronounce my name. Jataviana. They also got married at Falls Park on the Reedy River. And here's another picture of a couple, Adrian and Shaniqua, who got married also in the park. Now we're going to talk about time management. It's key in any wedding officiant business. Just as wedding ceremonies have timelines, your life should have timelines too. Do you know a person in your life who's timely at either personal or business events, but they're late for the other? I've been guilty of this, well, in the past. Now you have to find balance in your day. This includes getting a planner or a scheduler if you don't already have one. It's imperative. Now you're taking into consideration personal preparation, business preparation, and also travel. Let's break each of these down. So in personal preparation, you have to make sure that you're feeding your body. Make sure that you're getting the proper nutrition. And I will show you, I am at a wedding, well, now it's a wedding reception, and I have a whole plate of food. You know why? Because I need my nutrition. I just performed a ceremony. I'm presenting now for a whole hour. I need to eat. And I'm over here. I'm like, I am really like, I'm gonna turn this camera off real quick and take a bite, but I'm not. Um, but after I'm finished, I will be eating. Now, also too, they gave me a glass of water. So of course, my glass of water is far away from my equipment, but my mouth is getting dry, so I am gonna go ahead and take a sip. Okay, that was a little bit more than a sip, but make sure that you're feeding your body and getting your proper nutrition. Like I said, I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't say any more than that. Make sure that you have good hygiene. Make sure that you're washing. This should not have to be said, but sometimes things get high pressure. If you don't put on deodorant, then you're going to be smelly if you have body odor. And don't share this with anybody. When I don't put on deodorant, stay away. So make sure that you are washing, you're putting deodorant on. Some people wear perfume. I don't tend to wear perfume. Just normally, I'm just like one of those, like when I'm finished with the ceremony, I strip and I put on a hoodie and some shorts or some sweatpants. So I just I chill. I take a chill pill because a wedding officiant role is very heavy, and by the end, you're like, oh, I just want a steak and some wine. So um, that has nothing to do with hygiene. But let's go on to the next. Make sure that you're preparing your clothing and your aesthetics. Now, I had makeup here, but it's not always makeup because usually male officiants don't wear makeup. There are some that do wear makeup, but I talk about aesthetics. That's your grooming, your makeup, everything included. Make sure that you've ironed your clothing. You don't want to show up wrinkly unless you have a clothing that is supposed to be wrinkly to the ceremony. Make sure that that you look the part of officiating a ceremony. I'm not going to show up to a wedding officiant ceremony in my hoodie and my sweatpants. I'm going to dress the part and I'm going to be the part. So make sure that you're taking care of those things. Let's talk about business preparation if this thing would go forward. Come on, come on. They don't want to work with me. They don't like me today. It's okay. So we're going to start with not that. Hold on one moment. Business preparation. So let's start with gathering materials. Make sure that you are before your ceremony or rash of ceremony. Some people have more than one ceremony at any given day. Make sure that you're gathering your materials and not just gathering materials, gathering the proper materials. You want to gather what's needed for the ceremony, what's needed for your personal, and my recommendation, don't pack extra stuff with you unless you feel that you may need it. Load your car. Before your wedding ceremony, make sure that your car is loaded with the materials that you gathered. You can gather and pack stuff up all day long, but if you leave it at home, then you've left it. My recommendation for wedding officiants and anyone who is preparing for something, for anything, and I have a noise canceling headset, but it's starting to get loud and rowdy in here because they're having their reception. So excuse any background noise you may hear. Um, make sure that, and what I tend to do is I will put everything that I need close to my bedroom door, or I'll put it right at the front door so that I'm not missing anything. Drink cup, and it's way over there. I would grab it, but it's way over there. Um, your folder that you officiate from, my folder's down here. Anything that you need for the ceremony and you packed up, make sure that you load your car. And then make sure that when you're unloading your car, especially at a large venue, that you're unloading everything that you need because you might have to park far away. You might have to lug several things in, go back to your car and bring things in and out. Make sure that you're unloading everything that you might need for that ceremony because at some portion, at some point in that preparation of ceremony, you won't be able to leave. So make sure that you're doing that. All right, shall we move on? So let's talk about travel. Getting out of the door, stops for necessary items, unexpected stops, and arrival and parking. Now, getting out of the door is like one of the most essential parts of it because you don't want to be late. I tend to try to arrive at wedding ceremonies an hour beforehand. Usually I'm in the area of the wedding ceremony 30 minutes before that. So I give about an hour and a half buffer time to be in the area because I want to make sure that I'm present when I tell them that I'm going to show up or when they're expecting me to show up. The reason why you want to arrive that early is because if you are at a wedding officiant ceremony where there's a DJ and you need to be mic'd up, and they're doing sound check, they might have to do a sound check first and then mic you up, or they might want to mic you up immediately so that they could do whatever else that they need to do with setup. So getting out of the door is very essential. Now, while you're getting out of the door and after you start going, I have to decline a phone call, and after you start going, you need to consider these things. Unexpected events, that's car crashes, car accidents, um, stops for items that you don't have and that you realize, hey, I need this for the ceremony. So I've got to make a stop at an office supply store, or I have to stop at a grocery store to get something to eat because I didn't eat. So you have to keep in mind that you might have to make some unexpected stops. Now, also, some people will leave a little bit earlier than usual because they need to stop for necessary items that they know that they need. So they say, right before they leave out the door, they say, you know what, I need some Q-tips, or I need safety pins, or I need to grab a notebook because I don't have a notebook or a notepad. So those are stops for necessary items. You need to put that within your time, and you need to buffer that time into your travel time so that you're not late for your ceremony. And then, of course, arrival and parking. So when you arrive to the ceremony, you'll have to park. As I said before, for the larger ceremonies or larger venues, there are sometimes venues that have, for instance, I performed a ceremony at a location called Judson Mill Lofts. And at Judson Mill Lofts, they have parking for residents, then they have parking for everybody else. And there was a little bit of a walk. So you have to take that in consideration, the venue location and how far you'll have to walk with whatever equipment or whatever tools that you need to go into the ceremony with. So let's move on. Let's talk about packing your wedding efficient bag. So when you think about travel, you'll also want to think about what you're packing in your wedding efficient travel bag. Some items that you'll want to consider including are pins, charge cords, business cards, a lint roller, bandages, bobby pins, safety pins, lotion, sanitary aids if you're female, sanitizer, moisture wipes. But I'm going to show you a good representation, and I'm just going to sit here so you can take some of these down of things that you can consider packing in your travel bag. And I'll just sit that there. I'm going to actually allow you to take those down. And I'm going to take a sip of water. I'm going to stop the video for a moment and let you take some of that information down.
I just want everyone to know we are recording this, and after this is finished in the next week or so, we will certainly send out a copy of the recording for you also, so that you have this information.
Thank you.
All right, I'm back. I had to take a little sip and take a little bite. Let me move this out of my way. Give me a moment. Yeah, well, let me move it. It's okay. All right, that's fine. I'll just move this side. All right, so let's move on. So in preparedness, you need to make sure that you are preparing your attire. You are also practicing positioning. What I tend to do is, if I've never been to the venue in which I'm officiating, if it's a venue where there will be a formal ceremony, then I will make sure that I either go on a website or I look at the venue. If I don't have the opportunity to actually visit the venue, but I will go to the venue first, even before the rehearsal, and actually look at the venue to see where the ceremony might take place and get an understanding of how that ceremony might go. So that's something that you might want to consider doing, especially if the venue is close to where you are. And of course, practice. So when it comes to attire, you must be dressed according to the ceremony that you're about to perform, in that you're asking the couple how they would like for you to be dressed. You're asking the couple what the theme colors are, because black is not always the thing. Asking about rehearsal date and time is important, because if it's a ceremony that occurs in the warm months, you want to be dressed accordingly. So in these months, the weather is of course warmer, and when you officiate, you may get nervous, or uh, and what does nervousness lead to? It leads to sweat. So take that into consideration. Also remember that the ceremony may be themed with colors that don't mesh with an officiant in black. So you will always want to ask what the wedding couple and the wedding party are wearing. All right, work with me, kid. Okay. So in positioning as a wedding officiant, you're not just getting on a stage, you are part of the show. The show is not about you. There are many logistical tasks that go on before, during, and after a wedding ceremony that you will want to consider. You have to consider the different positions of not just you and the couple, But the wedding party, the ebb and flow of the other wedding vendors, all of that. If you're outside or if you're inside of a building with an echo, you have to consider the sound changes that have to be made. If you don't have a microphone, you and the couple may have to speak louder or differently. Take those things into consideration. So self-care. Now, before even thinking about walking into a rehearsal or ceremony, like I said before, taking care of yourself is important. You wouldn't want anyone having to pick you up off the floor because you didn't eat a sufficient meal or you didn't get enough to drink before the ceremony. So self-care is optimal. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. However, we function on fuel. And if you don't have the proper fuel for your body cannot function properly. Moisturize your skin. Just for the fact that you're dealing with others, even pre-COVID, you should have been washing your hands frequently, especially in interacting with people. In general, using the restroom. Have you seen some of these restrooms lately? Like, did your mama teach you to wipe? Did she teach you to flush? So you need to make sure that after you use the restroom, you're washing your hands, you're taking the proper hygienic steps in order to keep yourself safe and others safe. Now, speaking of using the restroom, make sure that that's the last thing you do before practicing for the rehearsal and the last thing you do before officiating a wedding ceremony. And it's okay to tell other people or ask other people, hey, did you use the restroom? Because sometimes that nervousness makes them not even think about it. So um, I tell people, hey, make sure you use the bathroom before we start. So as far as moisturization, I carry not just lotion with me in my Wedding Officiant travel bag, but I also carry biotin, vitamin E oil, things like that. Due to the fact that I'm also a notary public and I deal with paper on a daily basis, I know that my hands will dry out faster than normal person's hands do that don't deal with paper. So just keep that in mind for those who are notaries public. Now, never would I tell another officiant to be uncomfortable in the skin they're in, but I will tell them that they should appear as professional as possible. In that, dress to impress. Now, there are ceremonies that are more laid back than others. And for those, I tell officiants to ask their couples what they would like for them to wear. If the couple doesn't have a preference, I would dress business casual at least. For the impromptu ceremony, sometimes they're on the fly. Sometimes you have to officiate in what you have on. And don't let that dampen your day. Some people are like, oh my gosh, look what I'm wearing. I'm wearing this. But they called you last minute and you're performing something last minute. So don't be ashamed of what you're wearing. You're wearing what you're wearing. So in that, sometimes when you go out, just in general, public, you might just want to wear a little something a little bit more just in case somebody calls you in that regard. So I had a video here, but I don't have the video here. That was just supposed to be me talking, and that is me talking now. So before you officiate for any ceremony, you will want to research wedding vows, especially if you're officiating for a formal ceremony. You'll want to have vows already prepared. Some couples have vows prepared for one another, others don't. When couples have vows already prepared, like I said, when they have their vows already prepared to recite to one another, I will still have a ceremony written out and prepared. If the wedding ceremony is short, for instance, it doesn't include some type of unity ceremony, you may prefer that the couple recite your written vows and then include their vows after the words you've written. Now, research the different types of ceremonial vows out there. What I do when writing vows is I wait until rehearsal time to start writing the vows. What this does for me and also for the couple is that it makes a ceremony that's more fitting to their personalities, their ways, and their means. Now, just so you know, I did have a couple that canceled on me because I told them I was going to start writing their vows on their, and they didn't have a rehearsal. I said I was going to start writing their vows or write their vows the day before or on the day of their ceremony. They got scared. They were an older couple and they were just like, we're not having that. We're nervous that you're going to jack it up. It's okay. I just wiped it off, skin off my back. I know what I'm doing. But what that does for me and what it does for them is it creates a ceremony that's more fitting to their personality, their lifestyle. I get to see how the family kind of communicates with one another. I see if there's children or children and their family involved in the ceremony. And it's not that I incorporate things like that within the vows. It's just that it helps me write the vows fitting to who they are. So if you're newer to writing ceremonies, feel free to find vows online. I did it when I started. However, as you become more vested in your duties, start creating them on your own. Also, if you're looking up vow ceremonies online, try to find vows that are along the lines of the ceremony that you're about to perform. So if you're performing a Celtic hand fasting, um, or well, that's not a good example. So if you are performing a ceremony for somebody who's Buddhist, you're not going to pull out a Christian ceremony, things like that. So make sure that you are researching the proper vows that you want to actually give. Now, here's some vow samples. Some of the things that I say or create. It does not take me long to write a ceremony. Some ceremonies I write from scratch. For the impromptu ceremonies, I have it in my head, and eventually, as you grow as a wedding officiant, you'll start remembering uh, what to say, and you'll say things according to the couple in front of you, which is kind of weird and different to think about, like if you're just starting out, but you will get used to it, I promise. So when I began my officiant journey, the internet was my best friend. I'm like, I was stuck in a rut. I didn't feel bad about going online and seeking out a vow ceremony. Like I said, make sure the vow ceremony that you choose is fitting for the type of ceremony that you'll be performing. Now, like I said, over time, as you perform ceremonies, you will start learning to write them yourself. The best part is not only will you begin learning how to write them, you'll be able to remember those different types and recite them in your head, like I said. Before long, all you'll have to do is hold your folder in front of you, and here's my folder. Now, and I'll show you a little trick with the folder too, and then you'll be able to perform a ceremony without anything in it. So I have a folder that has those thin report pages in it, the plastic, and I'll show you. This is one of the sleeves with some information for a marriage license in it, and I'll take that out. So what I will do, especially for an outside ceremony where things can blow around, I will slip my ceremony right here in the middle, and I have one right here, and I will just flip the pages in this. This prevents pages from flying away. And then when that ceremony is over and I go to the next ceremony, to thicken this, I will put the last ceremony and I'll flip it the pages over and put the new ceremony in. And so even if it's a 3 to 4 page ceremony, you can just flip like this rather than pulling pages out on a book and you've got paper flying everywhere. So that's just one tip. So let me put that over there and we will carry on. Let me look at the timing. Okay, we have about 15 minutes remaining, so I'll carry on. Now, as a wedding officiant, you can add what I consider amenities to your business. If you have a large home, or even sometimes better, a large backyard, you can use the space to create a place for couples to get married. This is what Valise Jackson, she's pictured here. Um, she's a well-known wedding officiant in the state of Tennessee. That's what she did. You can look at her website to get ideas of packages for officiants to offer couples. So if you want to take this information down, either on your computer or by writing it out, it's https colon // Valise Jackson, and of course you see her name there, all together, .wixsite, WIXSITE.com /wedding officiant /officiant pricing. Now, Valise will also consult with anyone looking to have a setup at their house. So she also consults her couples on how to set up a wedding at their house rather than them coming to her house. So in your own space, you can set it up how you like. It's an advantage you have as the space owner. Also, it can remain set up for other couples to marry. That's when you have your own home chapel. It's nice, isn't it? Nice setup. You can have bouquets, flowers, veils ready and prepared for them. Some officiants offer these items with their home chapels. Now, remember to keep the offerings light and at every chance offer your couple something that will add value. For instance, in the hot summer months, I'll provide water to my couple. Just little bottles of water with my logo on them, not because I'm trying to sell them. I'm already marrying them, but to show them that I care, and I do. So some officiants offer items with their home chapels. Remember to keep the offerings light, like I said. So here is a card. She also has like a little postcard that she may give. Um, we have pins. Sometimes she gives them pins to keep. Business card, of course. And sometimes like a little mint or some candies. So let's talk about our efficient tools. Our folder. So I have a folder here, and this is the slim folder. So if you see that list, I talk about a folder, and that's usually a larger folder where I can keep items in, keep the marriage license. Not that I can't put it in here, but eventually it'll get too weighed down. So I'll have a larger folder that I can usually zip up, and I can also sometimes officiate from those folders if push comes to shove. You'll want a slim folder for especially those impromptu ceremonies. You can just pull it out. You want to keep a folder in your car, and you will also want to keep a folder in-house so that you have access to a folder somewhere and you won't have to be in a rut trying to find one. Of course, the vows, they can go right into your folder. Sticky notes. The reason why I tell people to hold sticky notes is because sometimes you will have your vows prepared, or the couple will have the vows prepared. You printed them out, but they want to make changes. The sticky notes are great for just putting those changes. Here's a small sticky note, very slimline sticky note. So you can put maybe um, change in wedding party order. Then you have the larger sticky notes where you can put maybe changes to vows. Then, of course, there are bigger sticky notes than that, but you know, so your smartphone. So I have my smartphone here and it's currently charging. Every piece of equipment that I have here is charging somewhere on an outlet because I don't like for things to die. And especially if you're an efficient that's high tech and you sometimes will officiate from your phone, I'll show you a little trick. So a smartphone is important because sometimes you might be in a rut and you might leave the vows at home. What I will do is I will take my phone, I will pull up the vows, and I usually will have the vows on an app. I will take my slimline folder, and of course, this one has plastic pages. Whoa, I think I tore that one. Let me go to another one. I just plopped it in there too fast. Now, have no fear, it will normally not bust, but I just kind of slammed it in there. So I'll go to my app, I will open the vows, and I will read the vows from the app right on my phone. And I'll be like this. I turn the dim, I will dim it, and I will read right from the phone. So that is a little trick that you can do if you're high tech and you want to do something like that, or you forget the vows, or you just don't want to hold vows, you can do that as well. So that's just a little trick that I started doing. All right. So it did not go to the next slide. Okay. And you don't see the slide. So I'll take a moment so that you can take these down. Go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Okay. So your folder, slim folder, vows, sticky notes, smartphone, and also music. So music helps me. I have my earbuds here, and of course my phone is connected to it. When I'm in preparation or sometimes during rehearsal, I will have one earbud in so that I'm listening to something relaxing, sometimes classical music, sometimes I'm bumping, depending on the situation. Sometimes I'm at a high stress and I'll put on something very soothing. But music is a great tool to use while you're performing your duties. And also, uh, music is a great tool because you'll want to, as a wedding officiant, listen to some of the songs that people get married to. or some of the songs that they play at the reception, or some of the songs that they play during the procession and recessional, because that helps with timing and logistics. Just some pointers. All right, so I had a video here, but there's nothing here. It's a very pretty picture of Jaquan and Jocelyn Hughes, and they were married right here at Southwind Ranch. So that's a picture of them during their ceremony. Now, this is a picture of them. They had another ceremony um, that actually I'm so sorry. They got married at Pretty Place with me. That was the more intimate ceremony, but then they got married at another location, and I was supposed to marry them, but I went to go watch my daughter give birth, which I think was a little bit more important than officiating a ceremony. We'll talk about that at another juncture. But they had a larger ceremony at another venue. So you'll find sometimes that you'll come across couples that just want something very intimate with you, or they might want you to do the intimate ceremony and do the larger ceremony later. And because of COVID, this couple, they had the more intimate ceremony during the very like March, April, May of 2020. And they had masks, everybody was aware. And that's when some venues closed. But then as the venue started opening again, they decided to go ahead and get married, do the intimate ceremony. So let's talk about taking care of your tools and your devices. Now, taking care of your devices is not like taking care of yourself, no. But if you don't take care of your devices, and you don't take care of them well, you won't get good use of them. When you think of everything you have to do before, during, and after a ceremony, you'll want to ensure that nothing untimely happens to the tools you use. This includes losing items. Prepare for the rehearsal and ceremony well ahead of time. This means packing for the wedding as if you're having a baby. Um, and I'll explain how I do it. Hi, Tarsha. So think of everything that you might need for your ceremony, but keep in mind that you aren't packing for a vacation. Don't take too much with you. What I do when I pack my bag, and I recommend to others, is I get everything I think I'll need in order. I'll go ahead and pack that bag. After I pack the bag, I'll then take a good look at everything that's in that bag and go back and remove anything that I will more than likely not use during the course of my duties. Or else I will keep those items in my vehicle. That's how I pack. Because me, I'm like, ooh, wedding. I think I'm gonna need this. I think I'm gonna need that. And I'm packing everything. And I'm like, you know what? I don't really need that. Eye drops, yeah, I need those. Amplifier, yeah, I need that. So I'm going to show you some of the tools that I brought with me today. And this is one that I used. This is a voice amplifier, and this was given to me by the DJ that I'm going to feature in a moment, DJ Kingdomatic. His name is DJ Kingdomatic. He does audio, video, all that stuff. So one thing you don't want to do is have the bass too close to the microphone, or it will produce feedback. This is one of the tools that you might want to use. So it will say voice amplifier before, right when it turns on. So that, you don't want it closed. I'll usually put it behind me or in my pocket. So as you notice, it does amplify my voice, and I don't want to speak too loud or else everybody in the reception is going to be looking over. So this is one of the tools that you might want to bring with you. It has the neck portion here that you can put under like a butterfly collar or a collared shirt if you have one, or a collared dress. I actually wore a collared dress today for the ceremony, but I changed out into this because the area that I'm in was not that cool. So I said, you know what? Let's do that. And then that's one of the things that you want to pack also in your vehicle is changes of clothing. You want to have a nice dress in your trunk, or you'll want to have some pants, especially if you go out in shorts. Me, I go out in shorts. So I will also have that packed. All right, let me turn this on. So that's the voice amplifier. That's something that you can use with your duties as well. So thank you, DJ Kingdomatic. All right. Some people will have like the handheld mics, and some those mics that sing and do jingles and flash and whatever. I actually had one of those microphones at a ceremony, the last park elopement that I performed in the rain. So I actually had one of those microphones and it did a great job. So if you have a microphone that you can take with you, that's also a plus. So furthermore, this is what I just explained. So I'm going to go ahead and go on to the next slide and talk about promotion and advertising. So steals and deals. I want to talk about that just briefly. Make sure that in your wedding officiant business, some people want to spend a lot of money on this luxurious, top-notch stuff, and that's not necessary. Like basic pins. I'm at Staples. It might even have Staples on the side of it. And I'm like, you ready to sign your marriage license? Okay, just hide the Staples on the pin. Um, I used to think that I needed like the best of all the best. And I'm like, me, I just deal with basic and I deal with what works. If it works and it does a great job, I'm going to use it. So in Steals and Deals, I always encourage people to shop Miracle Hill. That's in this area. I don't know if it's in your area. Goodwill stores. If you have a bin or bargain deal shop, um, you'll find all sorts of things in there. I actually found an MPOW headset at this place local called Bin Time. And I was like, wow, this is like $39 normally, and I got it for 5. There's some days that they have $2 days. And so make sure that you're going to those places because sometimes they do have excellent, awesome deals. So let's talk about your presence. When you promote your business, you'll definitely want to consider what you're going to specifically promote within your business. When you promote, make sure that you're not promoting just your business, make sure that you're promoting you. Let's talk about your logo, website, and how you disseminate your marketing material. So your logo. Your logo should be a representation of you and your business. Your logo should be memorable. You can go with simple logos like the one shown here, or you can add a splash of color, but be wary of making your logo too flashy, as it may be distracting. Also, if you have wording within your logo, the busier the colors, the harder it may be for the person viewing it to determine what exactly you do. Make it precise. I'm going to skip over websites just for sake of time. I know we're running out of time here. Let's talk about SEO. When you're in the formation stages of your social media marketing, you need to determine your purpose, your why you're electing to branch out into social media for marketing and network purposes. Word of mouth is the #1 advertiser for your business still. You have all sorts of social media out here. You have all sorts of ways to disseminate. You have pinging. You have all sorts of ways to ping your website and perform SEO for your website. But remember that word of mouth is the #1 advertiser for your business. So when you're in your planning stage, you'll need a concrete plan on your branch out purpose and how you disseminate your information. Tell people what you're doing, exactly what you do. And because you don't want to fall into that zone of the realtor that sells houses and their cousin is another realtor because they didn't know their cousin was a realtor. Tell your family and friends what you do because they're going to tell their additional family and their friends what you do. Be app friendly. If you plan on officiating over time, you'll need to make sure that you're not just app friendly. You'll also want to, from time to time, take note of changes within the apps that you use for your business, especially for apps in which you may create graphics or apps that allow for CRM options. Often they're updated with new and very usable features that may eliminate the need for another app you have. And this is acting up on me a bit. There we go. So don't go around downloading every app out there until you find out what you're looking for. this takes up space on your phone, takes up space on your computer. You're finding the app that is the most cost effective and works best for what you need it for. Here are some types of apps that you may want to consider using in your wedding officiant business: messaging apps, scheduling apps, audio recording apps, time management apps, screen recording, video recording, graphic creation, video splicing. So that's trimming videos, taking videos apart, putting them together, and graphic editing apps. All right. So going on to fee scales, people often ask me what they should charge to marry a couple. I provide one simple answer: it's up to you. No one else can put a value on your costs. I do, however, advise officiants to think about just how much it takes to operate. You're formulating your fees to ensure that you're making a good return on your investment for your business. And I've got hangers in front of me and they're about to fall into my lap. All right. So let's talk about offering specials. Okay, we talked about fee scales. Come on now. We're going to go on to the next one. Click, click. Okay, there we go. So as a business owner, from time to time, I offer specials to my couples. Now, this may come around special holidays or just because I feel like being generous. What you can do is reference a list of holidays. There are many lists of holidays online where you can pull out Grandparents' Day, Hug a Kitten Day, Slap Your Mama Day. I mean, there's all different types of holidays that you can, man-made holidays. Well, they're all man-made, but um, special holidays that you can consider are Valentine's Day, Christmas, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day. There are sometimes specials offered on off season, so off wedding season, the months in which marriage ceremonies aren't as frequent. So you want to take that into consideration. Let's talk about working with other wedding vendors briefly. So an event planner or wedding planner has a large role to play. Now, planners are hired to take the brunt off the couple. Remember, a wedding has large, sometimes finite details that if anything is amiss, it can totally ruin not just the ceremony, but any stage, including pre-planning or post-planning. So you need to make sure the event planner they have to be on their game in hiring. They're in charge of hiring vendors. They're in charge of firing vendors. All of that within a wedding process. This thing over here.
You know, we're a little
I'm
over
just
on
trying to press the
time.
button. You said what now?
We're a little bit over on time. I don't know if you have a few
Okay.
extra points you want to throw
Okay.
out here
So
before we
I
go to
have
questions.
lots more. So just so you know, and I'm going to say this before I show you the last result or the final or the end result, that I have much more material. Um, I do have the course available after today for those who are present for $199. Now, for everybody else, it's going to go up to $299 very soon, and that's going to be live. So very soon, it's going to go onto a course format. So if you have anyone or know of anyone who wants to enter the wedding officiant industry, they'll be able to actually purchase the course. It won't be a live course, but they'll be able to take the course on their own pace and own timing. So I do want to show you the end result, and let me I've got to skip over all the stuff. So I have videos, I have information about setups and logistics with other wedding vendors. We're going to pass all this information and get to the end result. All right. So just again, my name is Sunita Leek. Thank you so much for attending Becoming Wedding Officiant. If you are interested in taking the full course, you can contact me. My name on Facebook is facebook.com/Sunita, SONITAM, as in Mary, Leek, LEAK. If you don't put the M there, you reach somebody in like the Philippines. So it's facebook.com/Sunita M. Leek. You can also contact me by email at Greenville Notary, that's GREENVILLENOTARY @gmail.com. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sunita. That was wonderful. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions? And I'm going to stop sharing.
Nothing? Okay. Well, we certainly appreciate your attendance. As I said, we'll go ahead and get this registrate this video out to you over the course of the next week. And we'll include all of Sunita's contact information as well, so that you have that. If there
I
are
think
no
Rhonda had
questions,
something to ask.
I did. I just didn't want to interfere with her. How many counseling sessions would you recommend that the couple have if you want to choose to offer counseling?
So I don't offer counseling, and I don't know if
Correct.
you were on when I talked about the counseling.
I
I
was.
I don't. They don't have to have counseling for me. I don't require counseling. But if they
Right. You
want
don't
to,
require it. I heard you say you did offer them it through some other people that you knew. But
right.
if I decided to want to offer counseling, I just want to know, like, would you know how many sessions they would need?
It really depends on the couple that you work with. Sometimes some couples, even though they want to get married, they might be going through some issues. That's human life. Um, so it really depends on where they are in the stage of their relationship.
Okay.
Because just because a couple is getting married, everybody who's getting married is not in the same stage in their relationship. There are some people that are getting married because they have a baby on the way. There are some people that are getting married because their parents are like you're gonna get married. So you really have to look at what stage they are, and you're dealing with individuals. You're dealing with people individually. So you can't really say, well, you need two counseling sessions and you're ready to get married. So it really depends on what stage they are in.
Okay. All right. And then the other one was just that I have like 4 more classes before I receive my master's in divinity. So that's why I wanted to offer counseling. But I already have a logo that's under the ministry. Can I offer this officiant service under that instead of creating a whole nother logo?
I don't see why not. And maybe just add the wording efficient.
Right.
It
Okay.
really, yeah. Um, I found that there are some people that are like, okay, well, separate this from that. But here in South Carolina, it's like, as a notary, I can marry couples. So I kind of combine things.
Right.
And so I combined it. So it's not, but I don't have like on my wedding officiant logo, notary. But I could add something like that. So yeah, I don't see how that would tarnish things or make anything or ruin anything on the divinity side or the Masters of Divinity side.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Yes.
You're very welcome, dear. All right. So Marcy?
any other questions?
Okay.
All right. I appreciate you all again. Thank you so much. We'll get this out to you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I hope to see you all out there officiating weddings soon.
Awesome. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take
Thanks,
care,
Anita.
everyone. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.